Nick Sirianni beat the Browns, yelled at his own fans, said he yelled at his own fans because his players asked him to show more passion, and then he apologized for the passion, which caused him to yell at his own fans. So that's where we're at. For Nick Sirianni and the Eagles, here's his record against the NFC East. Pretty good. Must win. Eagles at Giants.
Yeah, definitely a must win. Sirianni's just kind of lost. We wouldn't have been surprised if he had actually gotten fired off that win.
Yeah.
So it's still out there. We saw it happen, obviously, with the Jets. If they beat Pittsburgh, coach, maybe the coaches, or the people up in Philadelphia are like, hey, we could fire our guy middle of the season, too. They have, look, Nick and I disagree. Offensively, particularly, they got a lot of talent. They're one of the most talented offenses in the league. Offensive line is great. Saquon Barkley's great. Both receivers are great. Even if Jalen Hurts isn't great, he's still got a ton of weapons to work with. So Sirianni needs to get this done and win this game. So it's absolutely a must-win.
But that's why, Brew, it's such an indictment that they have 0 first-quarter points this year. Now, I understand they were missing those 2 receivers for a couple games. I get that. But to have that much talent and to be the worst first-quarter team in the league offensively.
And it's a franchise record for first quarters where they haven't scored.
Exactly right. And you feel like that is a coaching issue. When Nick Sirianni is your offensive mastermind, but we don't really know what he does in any. We still don't really know what Nick Sirianni does. Because he doesn't call the offense, he doesn't call the defense. He does yell at the fans, but he's not supposed to do that. He does have press conferences that he apologizes for. And so they looked unprepared and bad coming off the bye. If then you play the Giants, who we just saw, despite treating every drive like it was 4-down territory, couldn't get to double digits against the woeful Bengals defense. And now that Giants team, by the way, is without the best player on their team, arguably the left tackle, Andrew Thomas. If you were to lose that game, I do think he'd be fired.
Ooh, I think the crowd's going to be a lot nicer at MetLife than it would be in Philly. I think he's going to get a warmer reception there than he would have at home.
All right, final one. We're going to go back across the pond. Talk about Trevor Lawrence facing Drake May in his second start. Sunday morning in London. Trevor has 1 win in his last 11 starts.
Another way, he also has 1 win in his last 2 starts. Would be another way to put that.
That's true. Yeah. Doug Peterson said the Jags need a culture change. He is the coach of the Jags. Trevor this season was good against the Colts. The other teams, not so much. So for Trevor,
must lose.
What?
Must lose.
Here we go.
Oh,
You gotta rip the thing out, root and stem. Balky's gotta be gone. Dougie P's gotta be gone. You have to, in order to salvage the Brents, they need to have a true season from hell and start from scratch. So nothing like.
But he's immune to it.
Here. Well, listen, again, we can.
Look at Mac Jones.
Whether he should be or not, he is, because they gave him that contract, definitively next year their quarterback. I don't want to argue with you about Mac Jones right now, but I'm just saying, and I'm on to next year. I'm on to next year for the Jags, and I think the best way to get there is if they lose this game, Doug Peterson's gone. So that's the first step. By the way, I don't even think Peterson's as big of a problem as Balky, who Balky somehow won a power struggle with Jim Harbaugh, torched that thing, and now has done this in Jacksonville. I've never understood the way he's able to hypnotize team owners, but they're not going to be able to explain away 1-6 in this loss, so must lose for the sake of Trevor.
Wow. Nick is a big-time quarterback apologist, but Trevor's going to be fine no matter whether they win or lose. It is Doug Peterson that has a real problem, and maybe Trent Baalke as well.
Why am I a quarterback apologist? You just said the exact same thing.
But Jacksonville's been kind of the UK's team, New England Patriots, that the Brits really aren't over the other issue we had in the late 1700s. Now we got the Patriots coming in, they beat them again, and I think it could be a problem.
Yeah.
Oof.
We're burying the lead.
Go ahead.
For the mental health of Trevor Lawrence, it is absolutely a must-win. Guys, Trevor Lawrence has been dumped.
No, he hasn't.
And not only dumped on national television by Nick Wright.
That's not what happened.
Yeah, he's not.
This is when the Prince and Nick were a couple. Everything was great. You had the trumpeters. They played his song. They wore his uniforms and all that.
Yeah.
Look at that. The hair, everything. It was great.
Yeah.
Simpler times.
And now, this is Nick now.
What?
He has dumped
What do you mean?
Trevor, and yet all the same places. They had a song, Nick and Trevor. Well, now it's Nick and Caleb's song.
Yeah.
They're the same guys. They're the same trumpeters. They're wearing Bears colors now. And it's like they had a song, and now that song is Nick and Caleb. They had a favorite restaurant coach they would always go to. Now Nick's taking Caleb there, not Trevor. I mean, this is bad. Trevor's got to get this win.
That is hurtful.
He's embarrassing him in front of everybody.
Sorry, I was so distracted by the bruised beard in that first clip that I couldn't even follow.
Trevor loses.
He's got to win.
Final score.
Point.
Wow.
Coach let up. He thought he would score, so he let up.
Whistle.
Took his foot off the gas.
Break, no gas that segment.
500 football and the Super Bowl rematch does not historically go in favor of the loser. Usually, if you won the Super Bowl, you beat up on the team that you beat in the Super Bowl. But the Eagles did beat the Chiefs. So for Brock, Brew, must win.
Well, look, after the game against the Chiefs, guess who comes to town? The Cowboys. So there's a get right. Even if they lose this game, there's a get right game right there. Redemption
we just got
would be
Brew's
nice.
pick, and he didn't.
Just throwing it out there that there's redemption's coming if they do lose to the Chiefs. However, even with that said, it is a must-win. It's a must-win for the Niners because of, one, their record. They're 3-3. 8 teams in the NFC have a better record. I know they're at the top of their division.
That's right.
But still, like, every win is important for the Niners when you start out 3-3. So it's a must-win in that regard. And it's obviously been an up-and-down season. Lost to Arizona at home. They've looked great at times, looked poor at times. What better way to boost team spirit and really get yourself going on a run than to beat the team that is undefeated and beat you in the Super Bowl? So, yeah, for team morale, they need this win. It's a must-win.
It's an absolute must-win for Brock Purdy. At some point, they've got to live up to the hype. And the best way, if you want to be the king, the best way to do it is to beat the king. Brock Purdy's trying to get paid. What better way to do it than to go and lead this team over with a victory over the Chiefs, which I'm sure they'll do.
You're sure they'll do?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I mean, I would pick it as an upset alert, but the line's too small.
What? No, the Niners are the favorite.
Coach goes,
The Niners are favored to win this.
Oh, well, that would be even worse. Maybe I'll have been the Chiefs.
All right, you guys are out of your minds. There is no team playing the Chiefs is facing a must-win. It's the opposite. It's a can't lose.
Oh,
what?
If you're.
I think, didn't you have the Ravens as a must-win?
That was a weird spot because psychologically for the Ravens because of how last year ended. But this is again the Niners should not be concerned with the Chiefs because it's a different conference. So many things have to happen for them to face each other in the Super Bowl. Most certainly the Niners have to get there. Also, Brew's point about that you glossed over, I felt, which is you're right. There's a bunch of teams in the NFC with a better record, but no one in their division. So the Niners fall to 3-4. They're fine. Seattle is tied with them in the division at 3-3. When you're playing the worst team in the league, if you're struggling or average, it's a must-win. So when you're playing the best team in the league, it can't be. So it's definitively not a must-win.
What is it making the least?
I don't know if
Nick's very literal.
Yeah.
I don't know if I
And what if you're
score
making the least amount of money?
What do you mean if you're making? Hold on, Coach. Coach, the
count
idea
it.
that Brock Purdy's contract is going to be predicated on whether or not he beats Patrick Mahomes on October 19th is lunacy.
It's not going to be predicated on it, but it's going to be a strong negotiating point. When you bring it up, can you play with the big boys? Can you pull this team out of the mire that they're in? Yeah, that's going to be important.
Okay. Moving on.
And Nick, for team spirit, they need this.
I don't think
that's
I
what
scored
must
this.
win
I'm
is really
Wait,
about.
are we
No,
scored?
no.
we not
For the
Coach wants the
record,
point.
This
I
was
think
scored.
I should get the
Just
point.
hold on. Can I just tell you what happened here for the record? You don't score something or nothing. And you did yesterday.
Yeah, you
See?
Which
You
screwed it
switched the
up.
scoring.
This is the segment you score. But something or nothing you scored yesterday,
think
which is
Wild
why
was
it
at the
surprised you.
Wild
Surprised.
was hanging out with
Yes.
Nick.
Okay,
and
then let's just keep
Justin
going.
Timberlake
We'll
last
see
night.
how it goes with no score.
Boo.
Coach is gonna bring it down a
Yeah.
notch now. No
I'm
points
out.
involved.
Devontae Adams was hampered by a hamstring when he was with Las Vegas. Oh,